Did we start?
I think we technically started.
Okay. Hi, everybody.
We were talking about theme parks. I just came back from a theme park today. I'm severely in need of water.
Oh, wow. Yeah, how long did you stay there?
We were there from when it opened till closing it, which is not actually that long. Like Disney from open to close is bad because I think it's like 9 to like 10.
When did it open?
I think it opened at 10, and then we actually left at 7. So
that's a full work day.
it's a full day, but it was fun.
You're on your feet the whole time, and then you have like, did you have all 3 girls?
Yes, we had all 3 girls.
So you had 3. Oh, was Angie there too?
Yeah.
Okay, so at least you had some team there.
Yes.
Because then you have like 3 little monsters running around like, buy me apples.
No, God. No, it was more like, buy me chocolate frogs for
Exactly.
Harry
There
Potter.
you
Or
go.
buy
That's like-
me a wand.
Yeah, Hogwarts can't be there forever, guys.
Well, also the Simpsons now are Disney.
That's true.
I wonder, actually, how long they'll keep Hogwarts there now that I said that. Because it's been there for a couple of years now.
Yeah, it's probably going to be there forever. Like, Harry Potter's is not going to go away.
Isn't all the Harry Potter movies technically licensed through Warner Brothers?
Yeah.
So why the heck is it on the Universal Studios lot?
It must just be since they have a theme park
Exactly.
that they put it there, yeah.
Holy shit.
Because
Why haven't I thought of that?
because Warner Brothers doesn't have a theme park, they just have tours. But like as far as like the 2 destinations like Anaheim and Orlando, it's just Universal. So
Yeah.
they're not going to go for like Knott's Berry Farm. Who goes to that?
we actually had a membership at Knott's Berry Farm. It was actually really fun. I kind of got bored with it after a while, but the kids loved it every time. Most of the time, it's not busy except for like 2 rides.
Well, that's better than waiting 4 hours.
And it's
unless
like-
you're a single rider.
Dude, yeah, especially with the Universal Studios stuff. It would be like 60 minutes or 80 minutes to get on the Harry Potter ride, and you'd go in single rider, and it'd be like 10.
Did I ever tell you about that? The time I went to Universal alone in Orlando? Kevin and Brooke, they got married the day before my birthday. And like plan was we'll stay an extra day and like celebrate my birthday. We'll all go to like Disney or Universal or something. And then like everyone just bounced. Like they were like, see ya. Like they just all changed their minds. So I was by myself in Orlando on my birthday.
Wow.
And so I was like, I'm just going to stay in the hotel room and watch TV. And I opened up the curtain to my hotel room, and the Universal Globe was like 10 feet away. Like It's like, well, I mean, it's just going to keep haunting me. So I like went down to the front desk, and I was like, this just by chance, do you guys have like tickets like on discount for Universal? And it was like half.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, well, I guess I should. I mean, what else am I going to do, you know? Like so,
All signs.
so
Like, yes.
Yeah.
I went to Universal and then found out they had single rider lines, and it to this day is probably in the top 3 birthdays of all time because I spent 8 hours riding every ride. I almost got physically sick by the amount of times I rode every ride. That was MySpace days, maybe.
MySpace, holy moly.
Dang.
I put like a picture up that the staff took of me underneath the single riders line because I was the only one in the entire park in the single riders line, and I was just taking over.
All I can hear is Flight of the Bumblebee. Rod like...
I've done everything. I don't know what to
Yeah.
do.
I just kept going until they closed, and I bought myself mushroom risotto and passed out. It was my favorite. It was my favorite. A good mushroom risotto is my favorite food. So that was the thing. Though, actually, ironically, the only ride I didn't go on was Back to the Future because it didn't have a single riders on it.
Oh, it's funny because it's a Simpsons ride in Hollywood now. I think it's a Simpsons ride in Florida too. And you'd get in it, and it's the same exact thing. Like you get in, and the
Nice.
doors come down like the DeLorean.
That's
Like
so
this used to
funny.
be the freaking DeLorean, dude. I was even
That's
talking
so
to
weird.
like another guy that had kids my age. Is like, this is totally the Back to the Future ride. He's like, it is the Back to the Future ride. So I missed that ride. It was actually really fun.
Did you ever go to Kings Island?
No.
Kings Island had this Smurf ride.
Smurf ride?
I have it can't be there still. I don't know because every time I describe Kings Island to someone, they're like, "You mean Six Flags?" I'm like, "No, Kings Island,"
no.
but it's fine. But like the Smurf ride was like it's a small world, except you like went on this adventure and it was terrifying because the Smurfs were like your size, but then when you went to see like when like Gargamel was there, he was proportionally bigger.
Oh wow.
So I was like, "Oh crap!"
That's cool.
And I remember it was terrifying
Was
as a child.
Azrael there?
Yeah, cat, like super loud. Although if it was still around and I went on it now, I wonder how big it seemed because like you know how like you're a kid,
Yeah.
you go on these rides, and you're like everyth's so big, and then you go as an adult and you're like this is a dime.
That's a true monogamous relationship right there.
What's that?
Gargamel and Azrael.
Israel, a couple bachelors just kicking it.
Just like together till the end of time.
Azrael's not as like willing, but he gets fed.
He gets
I like how he
pissy.
kind of speaks English, you know?
That's the mashup of the century: Azrael and Goose.
Put them together. Fight. To the
Yeah.
death.
Azrael in a Logan Paul video.
Oh gosh.
You know, I think people have forgotten about those guys.
Trying to get Gargamel some work.
Isn't he going to the edge of the world or something?
I don't know.
No, is that real? I don't know.
I stopped paying attention to that shenanigans.
Flat Earth Society.
If I hear you say shenanigans one more time.
Shenanigans. It's like herding cats.
Oh, yeah. Well, Penny, especially like at Universal, there's no rides for little kids. Like, absolutely,
really?
there's one tiny kid ride that she could ride.
It's
and
just
then
a
we also
water
took
fountain.
her. No, they did have like a little water place there. Actually, she got drenched and was like, whatever, I don't care.
Cool.
Yeah.
As long as she's happy. We went, but we also went on the like the Universal the lot tour.
Oh,
They
yeah,
actually
yeah.
take you down, which is actually really cool. Like you got to see a lot of lots that they use like right now.
Interesting.
We've unofficially been on that because we've been in studio audiences for like a lot of things.
Yeah.
And so they take you through all that, and it's just kind of like if they're in a hurry, they're like, "Here's all this cool crap, bye." Okay.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they're like delaying. They're like, "Well, it's gonna be another 2 hours."
So let me tell you about this.
Yeah. They're like, "This building had a movie."
Did you know this floor mat has been walked on by thousands and thousands of celebrities? They just start making shit up.
Yeah, I would totally make.
Have you done the Warner tour?
No, I've done the Warner tour.
I think it's like $70 or $80.
It's like
wow.
tour a la carte.
I thought it was
Yeah.
free.
Oh no, it is
Dang.
not free at all. It's but I think the one we got was also like a little bit short, maybe like half an hour shorter. I think it's supposed to be a couple hours, but we also get to go on it multiple times. So we went on 2 or 3 times, and
Because Warner Brothers needs money.
Yeah.
I don't like. I think that's their equivalent of the theme park because they don't really have any attractions.
Yeah.
They just take you like backstage at Conan and stuff.
Yeah, it was
So-
fun. I mean, I at the Hollywood one, like they show you all this stuff. They actually they even have like 3 little areas that they drive into, and it's like a ride. Like the whole thing shakes up and down. And they move it, and there's screens on both sides. It's like a Kong thing. It's like 3D, 3D glasses. It's weird. Like, and then they're like drive you out on the lot, like, hey, and this is where Cabot Cove, where
Do they still have the King Kong ride?
I don't think it was a ride.
Oh, okay.
But there's a King Kong thing for
In Orlando, they had a King Kong ride.
Yeah,
I love that.
That was like the old school one, though, right?
You know, honestly, I don't remember. I was so young.
I think it was old. Yeah,
I was like
saying
maybe,
it's old
I was like
school,
11
right?
or 12, 11 maybe 10 or 11 actually.
Yeah, I
Once
remember that
again,
one too.
It seemed,
I loved it.
It seemed huge at the time.
Yeah,
They also had this thing on the lot where you walk into the Friends set, like
Yeah.
in
Oh,
the
at Warner Brothers.
At Warner Brothers, you walk in, you sit down on the couch actually, and they have this edited scene that they throw you in green
Oh, yeah.
screen wise. Have you done that before? Have you
It's
seen
not
that?
a green screen. It's the set.
or it's not
is
green
it the
screen.
actual
They have the whole
set, or they make it up?
The whole
it's
set's
a,
there.
It's a recreation of Central Perk,
Uh-huh.
and I think a lot of the props.
Oh,
in
that's
it,
right. It
that-
was the coffee shop.
I think it's a lot of props that you don't touch are in the background. I think maybe it might be original.
Originals.
But that couch can't be original because there's so many people that sit in it every day.
I'm sure.
But yeah, they pick people out of the audience on the tour and like let you like reenact the scene, and then they film it and then send it home to those people. But then everybody gets a chance to take a picture on the thing. But the Warner tour is pretty good. Like if you're gonna do stuff in LA, it's touristy, but I feel like it's one of the more genuine touristy things because you
Yeah.
actually see where like stuff was made.
Well, I used to
It's
take
a lot
people
of
to like
history.
Beverly Hills, or I'd take them to like Grauman's Chinese Theater or whatever,
Yeah.
and like, I mean, that's fun, but like you get out and you're like, yay, stars, yay, that's Dan Aykroyd's star. I don't even know if Dan Aykroyd has a star. But, like it's just, yay, that's Hollywood. It's kind of dirty. Yep, not like the movies.
It is it is filthy over there, but like actually it's funny, the TCL Chinese Theater, I think if you come visit LA, like if there's a good movie like a bigger action movie or
Blockbuster,
something, it's a cool place to see it because it's no more expensive than any other theater in LA.
amphitheater style seating and like
It's really nice on the inside.
really
Yeah.
big screen.
In fact, that's where we're going to see Endgame as soon as the tickets drop.
Nice.
I'm like waiting. Like I'm gonna get
Yeah.
good seats for this. at Grauman's.
Someone's
Right.
selling them too because the app we have that we buy tickets through has it available, but not in any theaters around us. So there has to be a theater out there that's selling early tickets.
Or you think that maybe someone's like, yeah, I'm gonna sell you these tickets, and they'll just rush and like bum rush and get them, or they'll
Yeah.
have some kind of like, algorithm kind of like scalping style.
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, that's gonna
so-
be after the new. That you're gonna be
Yeah.
scalping tickets for this kind of stuff.
Well, so this is with the AMC app, and the thing we have, like, they actually check your ID
Yeah.
against your tickets. So, like, it's just the way it works. Is normally like it does. There's a screen that the movies don't pop up on until like tickets are available. So it popped up on that screen. So like we went to go buy tickets, but they're not available for anything. So they have to be like, I don't know, maybe another theater like in another state or something. Or
yeah,
whatever. But now it's a sign though that it's close.
yeah. Because I even thought about You okay there, Vince? Yeah. Dang chips. I even thought about last time when Infinity War came out. I was like, I wonder if I could scalp these tickets.
Oh, yeah.
Like I wonder if if I'm picking them up now, like 3 or 4 months ahead. When it gets close to the line, there's no tickets at this theater or any other decent theaters.
Yeah.
It's probably
Yeah, it was-
illegal.
I was really surprised when we went to go see Us. We were trying to find tickets and there was like no
It was
theaters.
pretty booked. We went to like the tiny Burbank theater, like the 6 one, like not even the 8 in the mall.
Yeah, that little one in the parking garage.
Yeah, by the old IKEA. We didn't know we bought tickets for that because we showed up at the mall and they were like, "You're in the wrong place."
Yeah.
If you ever visit Burbank, there's 3 AMC's within the same block.
Yeah, it's like it's nuts.
That is a lot of AMC's right in that one area.
Like, why don't you shut the other ones down? I guess they probably make enough money.
They were all full, so
Yeah,
especially when we went to go see Us.
At this point, I think we've been in every single theater at the AMC 16 in Burbank, and I got to tell you, the Dolby Digital Theater, the one that's like
I don't even know if it's
Theater
digital. I think it's just
17 or
Dolby.
whatever, Dolby, whatever. That one had the best sound,
And seating.
and then IMAX was actually kind of
It was the
underwhelming.
lowest grade, yeah.
The one in Burbank.
At the
I
Burbank
agree.
16.
I don't like that one. The
It's
IMAX
like-
there.
It's like fine, but the one across from there, that's the Adobe. Like it's super nice.
Yeah, it was really cool.
So how was Us?
You really can't say a whole lot without spoiling things. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's definitely Vince and I talked about it. We liked Get Out better, but it is definitely a Jordan Peele horror movie because Vince was saying he thought it'd be creepier based on the trailers.
Yeah.
It really wasn't all that creepy. It was kind of scary, but it was a lot of like confusion.
Yeah.
And it was 2 or 3 days ago we saw it, and I'm just now putting it together. Like it's one of those things that like I left like they didn't answer anything, and then as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh my god, okay, I guess they did. Like there was a lot of stuff that it's more of a political film,
yeah,
kind of like Get Out was a political film.
Yeah.
But this time not necessarily race. There are some racial things in it, but Get Out was definitely like a racial political movie. Have you seen Get Out?
I have not seen it, but I know
So,
about it. I can't stand watching horror movies. They just give me nightmares.
Both of them weren't really horror movies. I mean, they're horror elements, but like
Yeah.
it to me, it was like, in the list of ingredients, it might have been horror might be in the third thing.
Yeah. But from whenever it gets like billed, it's like this is a horror movie or something.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
automatically like, nope.
This one,
Yeah,
like, but this and Get Out, what I kind of dug about it. Well, you know what? I lied. I was gonna say about Get Out is that it couldn't really happen, but actually, that was the scare about it. Like every African American friend I had was like, we always fear this would happen. Like,
Oh god.
so Us, actually opens with a true premise. That actually, this isn't really a spoiler because the very first thing you see in the movie is like some text on the screen about how the U.S. is filled with underground tunnels that no one knows the purpose of, and that's true. I guess that's like a kind of open known fact, and then it kind of explores like what happens down there, and
who maintains these tunnels?
the title, even though it's really simple, actually changes its meaning after you see the movie. It's very clever. It's like a big Rubik's cube. And then there's a lot of questions that Jordan Peele said that he purposely didn't fill in some details because they weren't pertinent to the point he was trying to make. And if there was like details, he wanted people to be able to fill in whatever they wanted there. But what's really wild is they present a twist. I mean, people know that's coming because Get Out had a twist. Us had a twist, but then I didn't realize until this morning that there was another twist right in front of our. It was weird. The twist was the distraction to the actual one. It was so
Ooh,
bizarre.
double
Like,
twist.
Twistception.
Yeah. So I think it was like good, but I like to Get Out better, and it's still like it's still well made film. I like the fact that it's like a horror film, but like very different. Like. It didn't follow like a lot of the same beats. The trailer makes it look like a slasher film, and it's not so much. I mean, there's a lot of violence in it, but
Well, there's a lot of those things where like you can feel like something's building tension, and it's those moments, especially like you're like me, I don't like horror stuff, so I'll start to like close my eyes or like start to look away at the screen because I don't want to get frightened
Jump
really
scare,
bad,
yeah.
and then it doesn't happen.
Ooh.
yeah.
So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for that movie, but
Also, something in this one that I was prepared for because in Get Out there was no accidental detail. So Us was the same way. Every little thing down to like tiny things on tables, things people say, the way people look.
They're all keys to answers.
Like, you know how some movies in a film, if someone like slips something, like breaks character for just a second, that in both Get Out and Us, like so far in the Jordan Peele films, it would seem like that happens, maybe very briefly, but it's very much on purpose and is a huge importance. It's definitely one of those things, if you want to see the whole picture, you'll have to see it multiple times, whether you're interested in it or not. But there's no other way to really absorb it unless you have like a photographic memory, because like there's just a bunch of odd stuff you're presented with, and then all of a sudden you like find out what's going on, and you're like, wait, what happened? And you're like backtracking.
Like with simple movies, I'm still like that. I'm like, what is this little tiny thing? I gotta rewatch it.
Yeah.
The Matrix. What?
Oh yeah.
Like it wasn't. That's not that deep of a movie, but you're still like, wait a minute.
It
what?
was. It was though, especially after the trilogy came out.
There's a trilogy.
The Matrix. Oh yeah.
Just messing with you.
Yeah. Well, so that's the thing is I know like a lot of people didn't like the entirety of the trilogy.
Yeah.
But it did stay true to the schools of philosophy that the Wachowskis like were going for. So like there's that. You know, I heard a rumor too that wow, that's so funny. Like, have you watched Umbrella Academy?
I have not.
Now
yet
every time I say I heard a rumor, I think of this character.
Oh yeah.
I heard a rumor that the original Matrix, like every cast member before they filmed, were like forced to read like Plato and Aristotle and stuff, like certain books that the Wachowskis had for him, and like now it makes sense. Speaking of Umbrella Academy, all right, you haven't started it or anything?
No, I haven't.
Super fun.
My daughter was like, I want to watch this, and then I talked to you guys, and you're like, no. Like,
With Naomi?
yeah.
I mean, that's your call. It's
Yeah.
I don't think there was anything overtly sexual. There's a lot of violence.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It's hard to rate it because Netflix stuff doesn't follow like PG-13 guidelines and stuff. But I don't know. Like the drama to me kind of feels like the OC or Runaways, except they curse maybe every other episode or something. Like,
I'm not. I don't really care that much about cursing. I mean, I am not wanting to show my kids like gratuitous sexual stuff, which happens a lot.
this one, oh, you know what? There's one allusion to it. Like there's like drugs and sex, and like they talk about it, and you kind of see like a montage of something happening, but you never see the act or any like. It's like the rom-com thing where like the party, flashing lights. You see him like having a party, then he wakes up the next day with a girl in his bed. Like that's
like
about what happens.
90s sitcom, they'll pan to like the fireplace.
Oh yeah, this didn't do that. It just like it just like jump cut to like him waking up. But also like the characters are so weird that some of them aren't exactly like one-to-one human equivalents either. So it's like maybe that might be sexual, but it's also like a half thingy thing. Like it's I don't know. The characters are very bizarre. But we finished the entire season, and I think it's pretty tight. I watched this show called Let Me Explain on YouTube, and he pointed out like they presented a lot of details, and I feel like there's more to be explained, but I didn't feel like it was haphazard like Batman v Superman or something.
Yeah.
Like there are so many characters in this show. It's like they took like an Endgame kind of, or not Endgame, like an Infinity War kind of story, and then spread it across like a TV season. It's like who are they? Who are they? These people came in, and everyone's important. But it's all really intriguing, like how they weave it together. But so there's 7 kids in the Umbrella Academy. Each of them could have their own show easily.
Yeah.
And
it's that entertaining. I think it's like
their stories are so interesting. Like they don't give any exposition to a character. They just like arrive. You're like, well, I got to figure out what this person is or doing, and all that stuff. Mary J. Blige is like a I don't know how to explain it. Like a temporal, like law enforcement thing. Like it's so bizarre. Like there's so many things in it.
I'm really wanting to watch it, but like I said, it's kind of like, okay, when do my girls, go to sleep or whatever, and when do I have time?
Yeah, it is very comic booky,
which
like,
I'm a fan of. I like it when things are comic booky. Maybe not like, I don't feel like Legends is comic booky. I feel like Legends is just freaking straight up goofy. But
it's like WB stuff.
Garbage.
Yeah.
Vince, I don't watch Flash, but Vince watches the Flash. How would you compare it? Kind of like to Flash or something?
No, it has its own feel, its own vibe to it.
I like Flash, but
Like,
it can get goofy too.
All of that stuff feels like WB. Like no matter how hard they try to get away from it,
it feels like the CW. Like
you can tell it's CW written, like
we talked about it last time.
Yeah. Umbrella Academy heavily uses music, like well-known songs, like old and new.
How many episodes is it?
10 for the
10?
first season.
Have you guys gotten through?
Yep, we
Yeah,
finished
yeah.
it.
Really good.
It definitely it gives you a good I don't want to say closure. It seems like a season ending, but it also is like, well, now we definitely have to watch the next 7 seasons because it's kind of like comic book Game of Thrones. The comic books are only 2 series ahead, I think, of the show.
Yeah. So it's gonna be like Game of Thrones where they catch up.
Yeah, so they said they're always going to be 2 ahead, and
Yeah,
they have the exact story.
You gotta be careful with that crap because I mean, even like you take a look at some of these comic books, they get put off. I mean, I remember there's Kevin Smith did some Spider-Man and Black Cat stuff, and I remember that got put off for like a forever, and a bunch of other things. You're like, wait a minute, when is this coming back? Like it's only
I think they're just being brave with it because once again, once you see this first season, you're like, there are so many characters and so many stories that 8 seasons it just barely feels like enough. So I think they're just like, you know what, we're just gonna try it, and if we don't finish, then we don't finish. But I guess it's like the highest rated or viewed Netflix show in a while now or something.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's getting
everybody's
greenlit.
talking about it. I'm really interested.
Yeah.
We talked about the Wachowskis a little bit earlier and the Matrix. Have you guys ever seen John Wick?
Saw the first one, haven't seen the second one.
Okay, there's the trailer for the third one comes
Yeah.
out. I haven't seen any of these movies,
Yeah.
but this trailer from the third movie, I saw it and I was like, I think I want to watch this because because the first movie came out and I was like, that looks goofy and weird.
It's like a live action anime.
Yeah, but I mean, like this trailer. Have you seen this new trailer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, when he turns around and he's like, I almost called him Neo. He's like, what do you need? Guns. Lots of guns. And you're
Yeah.
like, what? And then Lawrence Fishburne's immediately there, and you're like, wait a minute, what's going on?
So it's funny, like the origins of John Wick is kind of interesting because remember the sad Keanu meme that
Yeah.
went around for a while? Someone like randomly took a picture of him on a bench and it kind of personified him. That persona got so big on the internet that John Wick is pretty much the characterization of that meme, and so it's kind of like Snakes on a Plane, like. People like see Sam Jackson a certain way, and then Snakes on a Plane was like that to the nth degree. So John Wick is like a Keanu Reeves movie, how the public sees him.
Characterized or whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of like Mila Jovovich in Ultraviolet.
Yeah.
That movie has no point. She literally she hits all the beats that every other action movie she does. Is she takes her clothes off at the beginning, she fights with like cool weapons. There's weird CG like martial arts skills and stuff, but it's her, and they just like made a movie for like the public understanding of her, So John Wick is kind of like that. It's like there's this meme and people like have this view of Keanu, and we're just gonna make that movie, and it's wildly successful.
I remember walking in on it and being like, I was like, oh, this is kind of fun, but I'm like, why is he going after these guys? Like they killed his dog, and I'm like,
That was the second movie, I think, right?
no, I think it's the first one.
Was it the first one?
Yeah.
One of the creators in Studio 71 did it, and they made a Dogwick trailer where it's like a dog doing like all the martial arts and shooting guns and stuff.
They killed my owner.
There's a lot of dogs in this third one, looks like.
They got to put the dogs in now.
You got to get the dog. The dog needs some time, some screen time.
Yeah, so I don't know. I need to see the second one, and I can't wait for this third one because it's I don't know. It's just a good, dumb, fun film. I like stuff like that.
Yeah, me too. In fact, like I like stupid shoot 'em up movies like that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Like
Die
shoot 'em
Hard,
up.
first one especially, is
Yeah.
believable. Like
Yeah.
most scenes of it are possibly believable. And then they get worse down the line. But I like those kind of just like Heat and those other ones.
Oh man, I haven't seen
gun.
Heat in
I love it.
Wait, am I reading this? I'm like looking at our list of topics. Am I
sure.
reading this correctly? It's saying Mortal Kombat is going to be rebooted by Marvel. Oh no, it says inspired by Marvel.
It's inspired by Marvel. Yeah.
like as in I should probably just like look at this article. Okay, so they're going to try to make like a cinematic universe. That is going to get messed up real easy, but sure.
Cinematic universes that's a terrible idea to try to do. We just talked about earlier Universal Studios, and I went on the Mummy ride. They made it for the new Mummy movie. I haven't even seen any parts of this. It didn't have any Tom Cruise in it.
Yeah.
Like, what is this? And I know that movie, like, they had planned to do like the Mummy and then Frankenstein
Dracula.
and then Dracula and have them like all as like a team up and they try to like put together like the cinematic universe of their old school monster movies, which like I love old school monster movies, those old like the old classics, but that to me was more like them going, we need money. Let's like almost like Warner Brothers being like, we need to make the Justice League now. Like, well, what do we don't have a Justice League. What do we got? We got monster movies.
That
Creature from the Black Lagoon.
That could have been a cool idea. I mean, not as like a superhero thing, but like a monsterverse, where they all just kind of reside in the same universe.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I didn't watch the new Mummy. I heard it like just bombed.
I can't remember who saw. I talked to somebody directly that saw it, and they were like, "Don't even try.
Don't even waste your time."
But the Universal monsters, man, like it was a good idea because that's their holy trilogy, you know, like.
Honestly, yeah, and we haven't seen like a new monster film like that.
Yeah, no, with Mortal Kombat. So like, if for some reason this is the first time you're listening to us or one of the first times, like Mortal Kombat's like my favorite video games. Like the first 3 games are my favorite video games ever. I love the lore of it. I was actually just watching the Mortal Kombat 11 live stream as they're teasing the release of the new Mortal Kombat 11 coming in a few weeks. And there's a couple guys that are in charge of kind of like making sure the lore stays pieced together. I guess if they put them in charge, like a Feige situation, it might work out. But there's so much stuff. Like Mortal Kombat in itself is like Marvel in that fact that like not the movies, like comic books, because it's been rewritten so many times, like characters and.
Yeah,
like Kano. Kano in the very first Mortal Kombat was supposed to be a Happa. Who you know what Happa is? It's like a half white, half Japanese.
I'm a Happa.
Like Vince is a Happa.
Nice.
So Kano was supposed to be like a Happa. He's supposed to be like part Japanese, part white, and like just like this vigilante. And then in the Mortal Kombat movie, he was very Australian. They pulled a Wolverine.
Oh yeah.
You know, they were like,
hey, Dingo.
yeah. Well, it was like, "Hello, baby. Did you miss me?" That was a terrible accent. And it played so well. It changed the canon. Like Kano's Australian now, because he didn't really have any lines in the first game. Then he wasn't in the second game as a playable character. Then he returned in the third. They're like, "Oh yeah, this Australian dude." I'm like,
I mix all these characters up. Who's the main one?
Liu Kang is
There
like
you
the
go.
mantle.
Okay.
Well, he was.
Or was?
See, this is where it gets complicated. This is why like
Raiden.
a cinematic universe would be pretty weird here, because when they made the Mortal Kombat like movies. They did the 90s thing where they picked like a couple mantle heads and made them like the stars of the movie, and then everyone else were like background characters.
Yeah.
But with a property like Mortal Kombat, you can't do that. You have to do it like an Infinity War Avengers, where everyone's a star, and like Hawkeye, in that original lineup of Mortal Kombat 1 and probably 2, like all those characters, like all whatever dozen or a couple dozen of those characters have to be like main players. Because in that original Mortal Kombat movie, like Reptile was like a cameo fighting scene.
Yep.
But he's like a favorite of like millions.
Yeah.
So
Well, like the cinematic universe idea, unless you have like a lot of backstory on each characters, and I'm not even just talking like Mortal Kombat has quite a bit on each, but Marvel has like decades,
a lot, yeah,
decades. DC has decades. You can't pull that off. I mean, you've got to have people have to be so interested in these side characters that they're creating their own movie.
Yeah,
I doubt, even within the X-Men, I doubt that people would watch a Storm movie.
I would, but I know.
Yeah, I mean, people
speaking
would,
of-
but
I did hear on a video just recently that they're thinking of pulling Deadpool in with Marvel and X-Men and Fantastic Four.
So the thing about
Silver Surfer.
The thing about someone like Storm, and I know I harp on Halle Berry a lot, but separate from that, the thing about Wolverine being able to have his own movie series, and that for a while they were toying with Magneto having his own thing.
Yeah, for a long time that was actually like a developing story.
Yeah.
Like,
and it was a teaser and an end credit thing.
Yeah.
Like, I think, and who else? Like Dark Phoenix, like the Jean Grey and stuff. I think the connective tissue between all those things is those actors were so dead on that could carry a movie. I don't think they found their dead on like that Storm.
Yeah.
But if they did, I think that Storm has enough of like history. They could make an interesting movie, especially now that it's together, because Storm and Black Panther have a very interesting like history.
Yeah.
And since Black Panther's already well known, like I don't know, but I don't think they haven't found like a storm that could stand next to this T'Challa, you know, and like look right. Like, can you imagine like Halle Berry as Storm standing next to this dude? Like, like it just doesn't fit in my head.
Yeah,
like,
age wise, especially.
Well, she's a little soft too, you know, and he's very regal. Like,
yeah, I don't see that happening, even though I would like it to. I think that they'll get to X-Men, and I think I was reading an article saying that they're talking about doing an X-Men movie, starting one in 2021. So, like, it might not come out till 2022.
yeah.
What I'm afraid of is that they'll, instead of doing like the classic X-Men that we all know and love, they'll pick up one of these newer comics that are out right now, like Gold, or it's the newer version of X-Men, but it's like their outfits are like cybernetic, and like the look of them is so like more modern. That's my fear, is they take on these like newer faces as the old X-Men. Like if they do it, I feel like it should try to pay homage to like the original characters, especially because like Hugh Jackman did like a decade of Wolverine, you know?
Yeah.
Like, how you just gonna like throw a new Wolverine at us? Like, I don't know how they should do that.
Yeah, I think it was easier for them to go to with the X-Men, like for them to start with the X-Men. Like, okay, now that we've created this team that you care about, that even has some own backstory within their cinematic universe, like their 3 X-Men in the movies they had, then they were like, all right, now we're gonna make a Wolverine Origins movie, and then we're gonna make a Magneto movie, and we're gonna make, you know, all these other spin-off movies that they wanted to make.
I know they won't do this because it's not a big enough property, but I would love for them to make like X-Men First Class, but the actual First Class comics.
I know we talked about it before, like, and I was all super excited because at the time that X-Men First Class comic had come out, and I was really enjoying it, and I was like, great, oh my gosh, like the First Class of X-Men. I would have loved to see this, and and then no.
Especially because Vince, you haven't read First Class.
I've read a little bit of First Class.
So like the reason I think it would be really awesome now is especially because like Marvel's back together. Like one of my favorite moments in First Class are like all the X-Men go on this like trip to Sweden to like help a client who's this like Swedish businessman like deal with something, and they get to like the top of this like mountain, and they get attacked by like an abominable snowman or something, and then something, I forget what it was. It's something where like all the X-Men were incapacitated, and they're like, oh no, this is the end. And then the tour guide, the Swedish guy, like rips off his suit, and it's Thor, and he's like, I'll save you. And I'm like, yeah, like it was so much fun to read. I was like, can you imagine that happening? Like Chris Hemsworth, like, psh, it's me. Or I guess it wouldn't be him. His run's probably gonna end soon, but like something like that, you know?
Yeah.
Uncanny is like the one we all know and love, like Uncanny X-Men.
Well, they rename it and
Astonishing,
books.
and then Next Gen though is I think what I was kind of thinking as well.
Yeah. There are so many X-Men books, like, you know, trying to jump into them. Especially, I remember they had red, blue, and gold, and just a bunch of them in the last few years.
Marvelous was one of them. Marvelous X-Men. Uncanny is the one everyone remembers, though. At least I would make that assumption.
Well, yeah, it's just different runs.
So I don't know. I mean, kind of going back to like the original topic about like Mortal Kombat wanting to do like an MCU style universe. On paper, it works. There's so much material there that you could do it. But I mean, I love Mortal Kombat. It's like my favorite, one of my favorite actually my favorite property. I don't think it's big enough to hold that kind of weight, because like with the very few exceptions, most people who are huge Mortal Kombat fans like only really like stay married to the original trilogy, like those characters. I watched the unveiling of the announcement of Mortal Kombat 11 when they did a live stream. It was a huge event, like over in Burbank, and I think it was probably at Warner Brothers because they own all that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh wow! Wait, Warner Brothers, they're gonna screw this up.
Oh no! You never know. They might, ditch it off to Universal. Like they did.
Well, for the ride.
Exactly, for the
Dude,
ride.
what would a Mortal Kombat ride be? You just get covered in blood the whole time. But yeah, there's a few characters. So when they brought back some characters from like 2 and 3, and it's the equivalent of like them announcing like LeBron joined, LA. And
Yeah.
stuff. Like it was such a big deal. Like,
and then completely disappointing LA with the Lakers.
but yeah, I don't know. I want it to be that cool. I don't know. Maybe they'll pull it off. If they pull it off, that'd be amazing, because that's probably like the property that I I supported the movies and everything, but it still didn't quite fulfill me in the way I wanted it. Because that was that time in the 90s where like Mortal Kombat, Super Mario Brothers and stuff, they were trying to make like gritty, realistic versions of those films. And like Katana, my favorite character. Beautiful woman in the movie, but she's not even wearing a lick of blue, which is like her whole thing. She's a blue ninja. She's never wears a ninja mask. The closest thing they got that she was like a hot brunette that could do martial arts. That was like the only thing they got in there. Otherwise, it didn't resemble her at all. Like they had to repeat her name several times.
Well, it's like the 90s again. You know, like Vince was saying last time, like all the nurses or anybody that was like, oh, if it's a girl and she's good at something, she's like just super hot. Like, hi.
It's like the Meg.
That's what we're talking about, the Meg.
I was trying to. I will forever see Christopher Lambert as Raiden, though.
Yeah. Even though he wasn't in the second movie.
Yeah. And Reptile, like being like seeing Reptile on the big screen was a big thing for me too. Like I'm not a huge Mortal Kombat fan, and you know I don't ever really gravitate towards the games or anything, but I did like when that first movie came out.
My grandparents liked that movie. Like I don't know why. I remember going over to their house one day and being like, "You're watching Mortal Kombat," and that's when Mortal Kombat was huge, you know.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah, I like this movie. We've seen it a couple times." And I was like, "Okay."
It's a pretty standard, like Americanized, like kung fu film.
Yeah.
I'll give it that. The only thing I would say is like you could have scrubbed those names and it could have been anything else too. So yeah, just the fact that Reptile had his like one big scene, like, but he wasn't like he should have been woven in through that entire story. You know,
especially with how goofy the second one got. It was almost like a more serious version of Big Trouble in Little China.
Actually, and Big Trouble in Little China was one of the inspirations for Mortal Kombat.
Was it?
So like Raiden was basically like those three gods, and Shang Tsung is based off of Lopan.
Yeah.
And the thing, like, so in my head, I see more of like Big Trouble in Little China as a Mortal Kombat series than the Mortal Kombat movies were, because like even Kurt Russell's character in that could have been Johnny Cage.
Yeah.
Like,
I got to meet the guy that played Shang Tsung in that movie. He was at YouTube Space one time. We got to meet him, Carrie.
Isn't he like a big voice actor now?
Hey, well, he does like all kinds.
Wasn't he in that ping pong movie?
Ping pong?
oh yeah, Balls of Fury.
Yeah, Balls of
with
Fury.
Christopher Walken.
Yeah, he's been in a ton of movie. Balls of Fury, IMDb. What's this guy's name?
Carrie.
George Lopez.
Where is he at? Oh, there he is.
Hero.
Yeah, I think he's also in like Panda, Kung Fu Panda, isn't he?
I like
he's
his character name in Balls of Fury is Mysterious Asian Man. It is really interesting though how Mortal Kombat, the first movie went from like, you know what, not so bad, to Annihilation to like, this is literally the polar opposite. Like it's so bad. Like it's so
really
laughable.
Weird. Yeah.
Yeah, the Cinnemassacre angry video game nerd guy, like he does a great breakdown of that.
It got
that
a
rental
3% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That rental reviews.
Yeah,
thing.
the rental
Yeah,
reviews.
that was a pretty good breakdown. I'm looking on IMDb here. It says that Carrie is also the voice of Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat 11. That's amazing.
Your soul is mine.
Exactly. Yeah, I see him all over the place. I mean, like you'll watch a TV show and you're like, dude, Shang Tsung.
Yeah, it's that dude. Yeah.
Just all the time. He's forever Shang Tsung to me. I'm just
Yeah.
like,
Is that Jason Momoa next to Mortal Kombat actors?
Yeah.
What is that?
A lot
Where's it at?
of
Where's it
21 people.
To the right. Yeah, what is that?
oh, I don't know. I'm sure this is probably clickbait. We'll do it.
Jason Momoa. Wait, why is this?
He must have.
Is this like a wish list?
Maybe.
Oh, you know what? I could believe Jason Momoa is Nightwolf, except that he's the wrong ethnicity.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter.
It shouldn't.
Anthony Dale as Scorpion? Sure. Bihan as Sub-Zero. Okay. Is Idris Elba going to be Jax because he's a black guy? Yep. Okay.
Idris Elba.
Dude, Idris is like, he's one of those dudes that just looks like if he didn't work out, he'd still be jacked.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like,
I don't quite see Idris as Jax only because Jax is like more street. But I don't know. He's a good actor. He could probably pull it off. Wait, Ryan Reynolds as Johnny Cage? Sign me up.
oh, that would be hilarious.
And wait, so James Vanderbeek as Johnny Cage and Stryker?
I was trying to remember who the original Jax was. It was Lynn Williams.
Didn't they change him in the second
They
movie
changed him in
too?
the second one, yeah. They were just like, just put another black guy in there.
They changed like everybody in the second movie.
Yeah.
It was such like a crazy, it was almost dropped levels. It was like, they were like trying to be, they really reached for that first movie.
Yeah.
And like, you know, there's a lot of stuff that they didn't hit, but like, overall it was pretty fun. Like I remember seeing it as a kid and being like, "Wow, I'm actually really interested in the second movie. It's going to be great."
Yeah.
And then you see the second movie and you're like, "What were they
And
thinking?"
and the stakes were so much higher then too, because as a kid that young, you either had to save up money on your own or beg your parents to spend like $10 to $20 on a ticket, and like that kind of build up to Annihilation was like, okay, you see it was like an event, and then you go and you're so let down.
What's hilarious, Keith Cook was Reptile in the first one, and then he was Sub-Zero in the second one. You know what I just realized? In the second one, Annihilation, Shao Kahn is Brian Thompson. We've also met Brian Thompson.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We went to go meet up with Barry, and Aristotle and his girlfriend were there.
Oh, the older fellow.
And then Brian just walked up, and I was like, hello.
Hey.
Like, I'm Vince.
He was Shang Tsung?
No, he was Shao Kahn, sorry.
Shao Kahn. Oh, gotcha. Which is funny because Shao Kahn, I think in real life, the actor that played him was actually kind of short, but he was jacked. So they just like kind of like scaled him up in the video game. But in the movie, I think they got like a wrestler or a bodybuilder or something. Not the greatest actor, but
Yeah, it says Shao Kahn and Goro were the same person. I guess were they animated?
Goro actually was
was
one of the last major animatronics was Goro.
Yeah.
And it actually, if you watch it, like that kind of holds up.
yeah, Goro holds up.
Because it says here that this one guy did the voices for both those people. Yeah.
That's like the only part where like, Johnny Cage or whatever does like his signature split
Oh,
where he
yeah.
punches him in the balls.
Yeah, because godlike aliens have nuts in the same place.
Exactly.
But it's funny now that you mentioned Goro though. I think Goro's probably the most memorable, right, to people who aren't like huge fans of Mortal Kombat. That's probably what they remember from Mortal Kombat as Goro. Right?
I think
Or Raiden.
Scorpion.
Really?
Scorpion, yeah, maybe.
Reptile's like a fan favorite, and like how do you make any of those characters like background? Like they're all gonna have to be like front,
Looking at the cast and everything, and then starting to like remember, like I totally forgot that like Ermac was in it. Like
Yeah.
They threw
a new type
everybody in
reptile
that movie.
sector, Cyrax, like all the robots.
I will
and
say I like the Sector
Cyborgs.
Cyrax fight because the soundtrack at that time was when like industrial and electronic music was starting to become big in the 90s.
And it hit big in the first movie, so they doubled down in the 2nd one. Yeah.
And that song that plays during the Cyrax fight with Jax and everything, I remember playing this day. I'm like, this is so cool. And I went home and tried to learn how to use MIDI and everything.
That's cool.
But the story was garbage. And they killed Johnny Cage literally 10 seconds into the movie. I was like, he was one of the only original actors you had.
At least they killed the white guy first.
Oh gosh, that movie, man. I don't know. I didn't understand it.
The best part is if you go back and watch Annihilation and watch the green screen rotoscoping, like you can literally do better now with Final Cut.
Yeah.
Or deep fake.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, no, not face wise. Like you'll see, like Raiden. You could tell they're at like some Tibetan temples or something, but they put a giant green screen behind it so they could put some like stormy sky behind it.
Yeah.
But the stormy sky is so like hackneyed in and
It's
stuff.
really bad.
And then like there's times where like some characters are in slow mo, but others aren't in the same scene.
Yeah, like somebody's falling and they're falling in slow mo, but everybody else is in real. Like, and it's very, very obvious.
That's pretty cool.
Or like they remember one guy falls down a pit, and then like another guy falls down the pit, and it's the same exact clip.
I think that was the fight with Rain or Ermac.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think Johnny Cage.
Rain
or
was in
somebody-
that too? Holy crap.
Probably. So he gets one of these ninjas gets kicked, and that's not Scorpion, and they cut to a shot of Scorpion falling down the pit that was already used.
Yeah, it's the same. It's Scorpion again or whatever. Like,
And they didn't even bother to change his color. They didn't like just try to change the color shift thing. It was just like a yellow
or make
ninja.
it go faster or something, or have a tighter clip. Like it's
Nah.
obvious. You watch it again, you're like, wait a minute.
Dang.
Even as a kid, you're like, what the? Like you can rewind it and be like,
Quality assurance is just a blunt. That's it. It's just like a weed blunt.
no, the
that-
Cinnemassacre thing was like dead on with it though too, because they were talking about the things they doubled down on were the things that were the bad parts of the first movie.
Yeah.
Like the terrible CGI. They like
Yeah.
oofed.
Like, was it the first? Well, I forget if it was the first one or second one that had like the wind tunnel thing. I think it was the first one, so that wasn't too bad. But yeah, the second one there was also, man, what was it? I don't know. There's so many things in that movie. Even the story, I can't remember it. Like the first one, I still vaguely remember because it was that classic story of like must save Earthrealm. Oh, Sindel was in that, and Shiva and everything.
Yeah.
and those two, and then like
was
Motaro.
The Minotaur dude, yeah,
Motaro. Like they're major characters in the Mortal Kombat lore, and they were literally just like goons in this one, and in Annihilation.
They killed him off quick, I think, right?
Yeah, and they weren't foreboding. Like Shiva is supposed to be like a god, you know, and she looked like a unibrowed, like, you know, like prosthetic. Like I don't know, it's like cosplay thing.
Unibrown Grace Jones.
Not even Grace Jones would have been a badass Shiva, and then Sindel had the cringiest performance. Like, and I don't even know if it's the actress's fault completely because there's probably direction, but also just her setting. She's in like this terrible costume and like a terrible wig, and she's supposed to be Kitana's mother. Now, not even like the age thing. There's just no. Like we've seen with really good actors in the MCU and like other films, like, you know, films that aren't superhero films, that people can not be like the age parts and still act well enough to be believable as like a father, mother, son, daughter, whatever. And that just is not like the actress that played Sindel. You know, she's like, my daughter Kitana. I'm like, I'm not buying any of this.
I feel like they just were throwing in so many things to try to like maybe, I don't know if it was to please the fans. Maybe that's. Sometimes I don't know what goes through like movie executives' heads that they want in there, or even the writers that they hire to write for them. I feel like it'd be like X-Men 3. Like you watch X-Men The Last Stand, and there are so many characters thrown into it. Just I don't know if they thought that it'd be like a fan favorite. Like, hey, watch, look at Marrow's in here, and this person's in Blink's in like, and it's just weird. There's and they kill like half of them off. Like, didn't like have a second like Juggernaut's here, and like it's just not what we wanted. You know, we wanted a deep, good story between these characters. I don't need for you to pack in every single X-Men. Like, hey, I'm just coming through the house. Bye.
Yeah.
Multiple man here. You know.
I hate that they did the Sentinel thing, and then they did it again or before in First Class or whatever or one of the second movies there. I haven't seen like an awesome Sentinel battle. Like,
yeah,
I've seen awesome Sentinels.
Yeah. Or in The Last Stand, I remember that clip that they showed was in a trailer somewhere of Wolverine like having the head of the Sentinel, and I was like, oh my gosh, finally we're gonna see him tearing the crap out of some Sentinels, and then like it didn't happen. And you're like, oh, and then like Days of Future Past comes up, and like while I enjoyed that movie more because it sealed,
just erased everything,
or whatever. I still don't like it. I watch it now, and I'm like, I don't really like this movie, and then. It's because he goes to fight the Sentinels. For one, they're not very cool looking Sentinels. Mm-hmm. For two, he's got the bone claws again, and he doesn't do anything.
And it's not about the Sentinels either. Like I still don't understand why. Like we have this Sentinel design from the comic books. They could pretty much do really close a 1-to-1, and I think it would just hold up. You know,
they could adjust it a little bit, and I wouldn't be mad about it, to make it look more like an actual human person, and instead of like the boxy, circa 1960s robots.
It really ticks me off that we have movies like Transformers, but
yeah,
we can't have a freaking Sentinel.
Hopefully Disney will fix this. I mean, I have hope for this. I really, you're talking earlier about you hope that they don't go like for a newer book, but I don't know if that's just us like being like. Living in the 90s still.
94, like, man. 93.
But at the same time, that's what everyone kind of loves. I wouldn't mind them doing the newer stuff as long as they kind of like would go back and show that the old stuff happened.
Yeah.
Speaking of Disney and whatnot and Avengers, did you hear that it's going to be 3 hours and 2 minutes long?
Yes.
I kind of assumed that, though.
I heard that they were going to put an intermission.
I would love an intermission. I can go piss.
I don't think there's going to be. I don't think there's going to be an intermission. I think a lot of people are going to be peeing into the soda cups.
We like the sound of music.
A video essayist I like to watch named Austin McConnell presented a very interesting theory that Spider-Man: Far From Home might be a fake movie.
What do you mean?
That they released a trailer for this movie to come out to throw us off the scent of Endgame, and they're like. It wouldn't be a huge departure because of how like misleading the Infinity War trailer was, and Marvel has enough money, and like, what if it's not a real movie? I don't know. There was like a lot of things that kind of connected to it. Or what if it's not the movie that they presented either? What if Far From Home trailers change after Endgame?
I could see that happening, but like to have it as like this is a fake movie. This doesn't exist at all. Mm-hmm. Like I wouldn't be able to buy that. That's just too much for one, they shot all those scenes. I mean, it's
There is that article about Endgame directors admitting trailer manipulation.
I mean, they have to. I mean, that stuff would get leaked all the time, I'm sure. Like,
They are the holders of all the keys, so
yeah.
they only let us see what they want us to see.
Now, the thing that's most important to us is that we preserve the surprise of the narrative. When I was a kid and saw The Empire Strikes Back at the 11 a.m. on the day it opened, it so profoundly moved me because I didn't know a damn thing about the story I was going to watch. We're trying to replicate that experience, which reminds me of that Simpsons where he like comes out and is like, "Who would have known?"
Oh yeah.
Thanks for ruining the movie.
It's true though, because like when we were kids watching movies, it was really hard to spoil stuff, especially because stuff comes out on weekends and things. You're not in school. You're probably you're not as likely to be with like a room full of like kids that seen movies and stuff.
We didn't even
like,
have blogs back then.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like you'd have to get it spoiled in person, and that was easier to either shelter yourself from or was just less likely. Now you can literally just open up Twitter or Facebook and could just be there.
Yeah, I try to stay away from all internet when it gets close. Like when this comes out, I'm a week beforehand. I'm shutting all internet off. I'm not even joking.
You have to. You almost have to, because no matter where you look or what you do, there's always some sort of screen in your view of
I feel like there wasn't as many douches back then too. I mean, maybe they were, but like they couldn't access you to where they try to spoil it on purpose. I got spoiled. The Force Awakens. I got spoiled. Like somebody had, I don't know, seen it in some other country or had a clip and showed the picture. Like we're just posting it in groups everywhere of like Han getting it, in the heart or whatever, and it's just like, not that I didn't think that was going to happen, but like it takes you out of it. Like you're not surprised anymore. So I understand that the way that they're kind of being super secretive, that the fact that these trailers that they've shown us are only scenes they said from the first 15 minutes of the movie, and even on top of that, they're highly like probably changed.
Yeah.
And the other theory I heard was, since supposedly all these scenes are from the first 11 to 15 minutes of the movie, we're seeing scenes that look like they're from the end.
Yeah.
So part of unless the scenes are completely off, what we might be seeing in the movie is the Avengers having multiple failed attempts, and then like Captain Marvel might not be like the end all be all. She might be one of the many efforts, and then the actual thing that ends it is something that none of us saw, because the Russos have said multiple times like it's not what we think.
I would hate for it to end just simply, like she comes in, she kicks Thanos' ass.
Yeah.
Nebula like cuts his head off, and then that's it.
I imagine if she does come in and kick his ass and that's it, the internet will be in absolute roar.
Like, yeah, I hope it has like some inner twists and twines, double twists, and even triple maybe. Well, I guess we should wrap this up, guys.
Yeah. Talk forever, but
feel free to drop us a line there in the comments and let us know what you want to hear next, or any crazy stories you may have.
Maybe that's something we should do for the next episode, is you pull up whatever comments there are and like kind of go through any like talking points and stuff. That might be a good thing. I can
give
tell you
shout outs to whoever dropped comments at least.
Yeah. I can tell you that I haven't been doing a good job of looking at comments, so we'll fix that for the next one.
Yeah, I think there's Brandon dropped a couple.
Dust Dawns.
Oh yeah, I think she dropped a couple.
But I haven't like seen like some of the talking points, especially with this one, because we presented like quite a few like talking points and opinions. So it's just interested in seeing what people are thinking.
Yeah. Well, guys, we love you.
Yeah.
Please subscribe. Do all those good things.
And come back and listen to some more yellow spandex.
Let us know what you thought of Shazam, because it'll shortly be coming out once you hear this.
That's right.
Don't forget to follow RKVC.
That's right.
All the socials and Band's Life.
Yay.